All right. So everyone, oh, Ben's joining as well. Wonderful. Are you and Ben joining from the same place, Steph?
I'm just about to cancel my one, so I'll be listening through Ben's.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks, Reggie.
No worries. All right, guys. We shall proceed. All right, so the chakra system. Let me just minimize this so it doesn't get in my way. So we all know that there are 7 chakras, at least the most 7 well-known chakras in the human body. There's the first chakra here, which is represented by the color red. Then the second chakra here, which is also called the Sacral Chakra. The first one's called root, or the base. The second one's called the Sacral Chakra, which is located somewhere here, and its color is orange. The third chakra is yellow. The fourth is green. The fifth is blue. The sixth is purple, according to this, and the seventh is white. Now, the very first thing that we're obviously going to notice here is that colors can be very different. The way that I have known and perceived the 6th chakra to be is a bluish color, whereas here in my 7th chakra, or the crown chakra, I have always known to be as purple, and the chakras above that to be white. So, you know, different schools of thought will have and, you know, different perceptions and different experiences. We will have a different perception of what is really the color of a chakra. But the idea is really not to understand the colors, but to really understand what they do. So we'll look at this in a little more detail here. So the very first thing is the structure of a chakra. Now, as you can see, the images here reflect the structure of a chakra based on the esoteric works of the Theosophists. And in most individuals, I have found that a healthy chakra moves clockwise as measured looking from the body, but in others it moves counterclockwise most of the time. So depending on where the energy is flowing and how it is flowing, the chakra movement varies as well. Now, by this I mean that when you observe a person, or if you observe that chakra at a certain point, you might see that it spins in a certain way, or in a certain direction, and at other times it might be spinning at another direction or counterclockwise. Now, the question that most people, or the rule of thumb that people usually go by, is that, oh, if it's spinning this way, then it must be good, and if it's spinning that way, it must be bad. And, you know, chakras being such complicated or complex things, we can't really put a sequence, or we can't prescribe a sequence that if it's going clockwise or if it's going counterclockwise, it would be good or bad. It's always best to feel into how the energy feels. But in its essence, the primary force moves outward in a chakra, right? So if you were to, I would say this, so if you were to draw a point from the base of your spine all the way to the top, right? And you imagine this column or a tube, or a hollow tube in the middle of your body, just maybe perhaps in front of your vertebrae, in the center of your body. That's where the chakras lie, and they lie in a horizontal position. And as you activate your chakras, the energy moves outwards into what we will discuss a little bit later. But the essence is that the energy moves outwards, because what we create is what we attract to ourselves, right? And it's a very, very common saying that all of us have heard, that we attract that which is of our frequency. And the frequency, our individual frequency, is a combination of all of our chakra and our lower body and etheric body frequencies. And when we say that what we vibrate at is what we attract. We're talking about the outward flow of energy coming out from the chakras and moving outwards into the world. And as this energy interacts with material in this three-dimensional world, the density of this material will enable a frequency to come back to us, therefore matching what we are projecting. And hence what we project is what we receive. So just thus far, looking at the two pictures, does anyone have any questions or anything that they would like to add as well? Can you guys hear me? Just making sure that you guys can hear me, and if you have any questions, we can put them out to the group.
Hey Prash, I've got a wee question.
Yes.
So this is where I've always been confused, because there's always been that conflict of like, where is the chakra exactly? Like, is it spinning, as you say, like parallel to the human body, like the pictures that look like? Or is there a massive disc spinning in the center of your column that's being fed by these little wheels? Like, where is the actual chakra? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it in the body or outside of the body? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I see. So that's a good question. If anyone wants to answer that, please go ahead. And if not, then I can try and answer that to the best of what I know. So my understanding is that the chakras actually live both within and outside of your body, and we'll go through this in a little bit more detail. So the energy moves forwards and backwards, and I'll explain this in a minute. But in its location, chakras are formed, or the 7 chakras are formed with the at points, 7 different points in the body where there is a lot of Nadi activity. As in, these are points where there is a collection of lots of intersection of veins and nerves, and the intersection, or because they're bunched up so densely in these certain 7 points, they create this energy, if that makes sense. So when we talk about chakras existing in a third dimensional space, they don't, right? So when you go to a doctor, and let's say if they cut you open, they will not find chakras within, because chakra is generated from the energy. It is the energy rather generated from the intermingling of different nerves and veins that carry certain kinds of information within the body. Does that answer your question?
Sort of, sort of not, but like, is the disc the actual body of the chakra? Is that not really in the physical body at all then? Is that what you mean?
It is, so like I said, it's energy, right? It is a spinning energy. Now, when you say, for example, when you connect to, or when you perceive energy, when we do our meditations and you perceive this energy, right? This energy is coming to you when you connect with the Reiki energy. The Reiki energy is coming to you. The energy of your guides is coming to you. You know that they exist, even though you might not be able to see or perhaps even feel them sometimes, but you can feel that energy. And similarly, this, and the way the reason why you can do that is because the energy exists in a dimension which is higher than what we can perceive with our three-dimensional individual aspects. So the energy does exist, or these chakras do exist within your body, and they exist within and again outside of your body as well. But the way, or the best way to describe it, is that the chakra is the prana in the body, right? So you have a soul, and you are a manifestation of your soul in this reality. Now your soul is putting its energy out into your body because you are a manifestation of your soul. And the way that this energy is coming into your body, and you are having or living this experience of life, is through this energy. And how this energy moves and how it is generated is within your chakra system, but it comes from higher aspects of you.
I've just had a thought, actually. I'm wondering if in the center of the body, the chakras are actually spheres. Do you know? Because you kind of think about them in 2D, like it's a flat disc in the center, or it's a flat disc, kind of like how it's depicted in it. It's probably actually like a sphere.
Absolutely.
In the middle, in the center of your body. Do you know what I mean? Because you feel, yeah, I reckon that's what it might be.
It's like a ball of light.
Yeah, almost, like a ball. You know?
It's an energy, and it moves. It's not a still energy. It's a moving energy.
Yeah.
Right. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does actually. Thanks for the question.
Any other questions before we move on?
It's okay. For me, it brings me also more clarity on that aspect of the chakra. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So, you know, and everything, every living thing around us has chakras. Now, every object around us, whether it be the computer that you, or the phone that you are holding in your hand, the car that you might be sitting in, everything is made out of energy, right? And life, as we slowly come to understand, as we awaken to the higher reality, is that it is just a manipulation of energy. It's just using energy in a certain way. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It is always here, right? And therefore, also in animals, in insects, all parts of nature, everything is created from God, right? Everything shines the light of God within it. And everything, therefore, has these energy centers. And this picture here shows the 7 chakra centers inside of a dog. But you'll find the same in a horse, a cat, a grasshopper, a bee. They all have chakras. The only difference is us as human beings. How aware are we of this? Trees have their chakras. Flowers have their chakras. Grass has its chakras. Everything is creation, and everything has its chakras, and everything is emanating energy. It is only when we can raise our vibration enough to feel these things that we can slowly, with time, understand more about what really exists around us. Oops. So, chakras as vortices, right? So, as I said, chakras spin, and they spin in both directions. So the main in-body chakras emanate from the back and front sides of the spine to extend beyond the physical body. Each is composed of a cluster of vortices similar in shape to what you see in a whirlpool. Once the spin of a chakra is stilled, it reveals a lotus-like shape. At the center and deepest point of each chakra is a stem-like channel that connects the main body in the chakras to the spine, and through the spine to each other. Now, this is a really important thing to look at. When ancient yogis have meditated, and this knowledge comes from the Hindu system particularly, and this has been in teaching for many thousands of years, that when you can still your mind enough to focus on a chakra, and the chakra is spinning, and when you can observe it without its spin, when the energy is so still that the chakra stops spinning, that you will see a petaled lotus within it. Now it is said that the crown chakra is 1,000 petal lotus, and the crown chakra is the only chakra where the flower is actually facing down, and the petals come from around your head all the way to your shoulders, and the stem of the chakra is pointing upwards. But we'll learn more about this as we go on a little further. But the idea to remember here is that each chakra is spinning in both directions, right? As you learn to feel your chakras and you learn to expand that energy, you're not just expanding that energy in one direction. It is also going around you. It is also going behind you. It's the same chakra. And this is because the chakra is spinning in both directions. Any questions thus far?
Well, I mean, if the chakra is spinning in both directions, then it means that just to determine whether it's healthy or not, maybe it has to go to do with the speed and not the rotation, the sense of the rotation.
That is correct as well. And like I said, the health of a chakra is more intuitive, you know? Like let's say, for example, when we scan someone's body, whether we do it in person or whether we do it in remotely, we are examining the overall energy of the chakra, right? Now, at the point where when we might be examining the chakra, it might not be spinning as much, right? And yet the energy that we might experience from it might be a healthy energy, right? An overactive chakra might have too much energy or too much spin on it, and we might perceive that as maybe initially being a very active chakra, only when we start to realize with other aspects that this chakra might be overactive. For example, if I was to check someone's heart chakra and I feel a certain energy, I will try and look for the qualities there as well. Instead of just the amount of energy that is coming out, how does it feel? How does it feel to me intuitively? And I think that's one thing to look at, that even though they might be spinning at certain speeds and they might be spinning with certain velocity, it is along with our intuitive ability and understanding which comes to us all naturally, that we can assess the health of the chakra. If we just go by, say, for example, speed or the direction that it's moving in, it might be a bit of incomplete information to draw that conclusion, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. That's what I experienced also. I practice, yeah, it makes sense.
Awesome. Okay, now we talk about the serpent in the chakra system. We've all heard about the serpent, or the rainbow serpent, or the kundalini of the earth, or the kundalini of the human body. And the serpent in the chakra system is a Central American description of the Hindu kundalini, here particularly on the left. And in ancient Egypt as well is where this has existed for quite a while, along with other civilizations. But the kundalini is seen as an Ouroboros, or a snake swallowing its own tail. And there's a significance behind that. So let's explore what the serpent particularly means in the chakra system. The serpent basically relates to the kundalini, right? Now, if you look at the picture, particularly on the left, it shows that the energy flow of Ida and Pingala, right? Now, Ida and Pingala are two different parts of energy. There are dozens, if not thousands, of nadis, and nadis are these what is the particular word that I'm looking for? When we do EFT, Tash, maybe you might be able to help me with this. When we do EFT, what are we clearing from I can't remember the word for some reason. Meridians.
Yeah.
Meridians. Meridians are called nadis in Hindi, right? And the energy flow of Ida and Pingala basically move around the nadis. Now, this is where the part of chakras particularly gets a little bit complicated, so we will come back to it. But in order to understand this better, we need to understand first all of the chakras, all of the different kinds of chakras, and then we can study a bit more about the Ida and Pingala and how this energy has to move in both directions for the Kundalini to be awakened. So I'll come back to that. We'll skip the Granthi as well, but let's look at this particular image for now, right? And this is something that that Ruhaya had asked about when we were first discussing about this workshop. That there are chakras that we know of, the 7 chakras, but there are also many multiple secondary chakras around the body. There's some around the ears, on the neck, shoulders, hands, fingers, different parts of the body, and perhaps Tash, you might be able to talk a bit more about the secondary chakras that you have learned of through your pranic healing.
Yeah, well, you've got all the other minor chakras. You've kind of got the Meng chakra, which is behind the navel chakra, at the back, I'd say lumbar area. And that one, if I remember correctly, has about 8 petals, and it's kind of like the pumping station or distribution center where it moves the energy to other chakras of the body. But yeah, then you've got other minor chakras, as Prash mentioned, just in other places of the body.
So again, these, although, and how, like I said, these chakras are known traditionally is through the intersection of meridians again. Now, so when we look at, say, for example, the head center, or for example, the third eye center here, traditionally there is a lot of intermingling of meridians there, but then there could be smaller points, right? And these smaller points is something that we're looking at here, around the body or around the head particularly, where there could be other not so strong as the Ajna center, but smaller conglomeration of energy points, and they are usually known as the secondary chakras of the main chakra. From what I understand, particularly, at least in the Hindu system, that the secondary chakras also have to be activated for the full activation of the chakra. So particularly when the Kundalini rises from the bottom and makes its way all the way to the top, it has to not just activate the primary centers, but it has to also activate the secondary centers as well. Now, as the Kundalini, or the purpose that the Hindu yogis have defined of the chakras is, as we realize that we are energy, it is to allow this energy to travel upwards into union with God, and then also to allow this energy to travel downwards into union with the earth. And as we unionize with both of these aspects, this is where the coiled serpent that lives within the base of the spine has to slowly start making its way up. And as it starts to make its way up, it unites the energy of every lower chakra with every higher chakra until the energy is released from the crown and the union to God can be achieved. Now, particularly when the Kundalini of a human being is rising, there are 3 points that provide as a challenge for the upward climb of the Kundalini. And these 3 points are the Brahma Granthi, which is basically the root chakra. The initial start of the process of Kundalini is usually the hardest. And as this energy rises up and starts to move towards our upper center here, the heart center, it is here where we first encounter a consolidation of ego. The personality here starts to change from the personality that governs our life in this 3-dimensional reality through the 3 lower chakras. But as the 3 lower chakras are now raising their energy, raising their vibration, and this vibration is, or this energy is now reaching the heart center, the heart has to open up fully. And usually, as human beings, all of us who have a personality and therefore an ego associated to it, the hardest part that we can face initially is the opening of the heart, the realization of beyond the I being me and myself. And then the third point that it finds its hardship as it climbs up is in the Archline Center. And this is where it can be a bit challenging, because as we start to open to see more and more and more of the reality that is around us, the ego fights back, because this is the last stand that it has. Beyond this, when it rises up to the crown and goes into union with Source, it has no existence. And yet, from what I have heard, is that there is another point. So when this Kundalini rises upwards from the crown and comes into union with God, this is what is normally known, in at least in Hindu tradition, is known as Samadhi. And from what I've learned from a few learned sages growing up, is that there is 3 levels of Samadhi as well, which is not mentioned in this presentation, but I thought I might speak about it anyway. And one of them is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and that's the first layer of the Samadhi. This is the union to God, which a lot of people can achieve. And this is the dissolution of the complete ego. And at this point, usually this is the point that people can fall back from. And a lot of people will reach this point in their Samadhi, in their union with God, and they can fall back from here. And if you want to learn more about this, I'll probably point you to a video. I'll probably share this in the group chat, where the person who had experienced this talks more about it. But beyond that are 2 other points of Samadhi from which you cannot return. And what tends to happen is that once you reach the 3rd point of Samadhi, you can easily leave the body. There are many stories of saints, sages, and in fact even yogis who go into meditation for weeks and then they just leave their body. They don't particularly die, because the prana is still in the body. The soul is still fulfilling its purpose through a certain aspect, yet their consciousness is not here, because their consciousness is in union with God. And some of these miracles we have learned of, or we know of in history, where bodies have not decomposed for weeks and months and sometimes even years, because there is still prana in the body. Without prana, or without energy in the body, is when the body starts to decompose. So I've always found that to be a very, very interesting point, particularly with the rise of the Kundalini. Any questions, if anyone has any questions? Okay, might assume that there are none. If there is anything that you would want me to bring more clarity to, or if anyone wants to add something to it, please. This is. It feels like I've taken over the computer, but I want you to know that this is a discussion. It's please feel free to jump in with your thoughts and and give me as well the opportunity to learn from you.
Cool.
All right, I'll move on to the next one. Now, this is basically a diagram that it's from Anna Dear Judith's book, and she has one of the most comprehensive books on chakras. And she talks about the 7 chakras and particularly what nerve plexuses they most sort of have control over. And it's just a medical thing to know of. I particularly don't know too much about this. If anyone else does, please feel free to jump in.
Okay, so with nerves and innervation, do you see the direction of where the nerves are all going? You would actually have organs that those nerves are penetrating. So the nerves are affecting that whole region of the body, including the organs. So therefore you can link the heart chakra nerves, you see in the center there, with all the organs around the actual physical heart and so on,
I see.
So that's how the nerves would interact with the physical body, and the energy would be flowing from the spine into the physical, if that helps.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Thanks.
So my other quick question wasn't really a question, but I was just going to say, for people who are brand new to chakras, can we also just touch upon maybe at the end, how it all ties together with, like emotions, body parts, attitudes, behaviors, all of that stuff, how we can relate it to back to our like physical lives,
Absolutely.
Our lives, the importance of chakras in our lives, what's the significance about,
Okay.
Mastering emotions and things like that according to the chakras.
Okay, absolutely. All
Okay.
good. Actually, I think that's a great idea. Maybe we should start with that before we start going into chakra geometry and all right. This is actually
an advanced course of
Can you say
chakras.
something?
Yeah, sure, Ruhai, go ahead.
Yeah. I would also like us maybe to dive a little bit deeper in the connection with the nervous system, because every time, when people talk about the awakening of the Kundalini or like certain activations, there is some electric activity in the nervous system. So just to know exactly, like, maybe more clearly how our nervous system is really directly connected, with this energetic activity. Like maybe it can also tell us more about like the nature of this energy. Is it like magnetic, electrical? Well, maybe this is like too deep, but for me, maybe it will help understand all the kind of symptoms, like physical manifestation of our chakra activity or like the Kundalini rising, because there's always all this physical aspect, because I think the nervous system plays a very good role. That's why also maybe how the breath can also enhance those experiences, because for me it is connected, this physical aspect, our breath, our nervous system, why like it is important maybe to develop this kind of awareness of a certain body sensation,
I see.
I think besides, I mean, even I know there is all this connection with the glands. Yeah, this is already like something that's already known, but I haven't much dived into the direct connection between the chakra and the nervous system.
Well, to be honest, neither have I. But the good thing is, in the group, I'm sure someone would know. How about you, Tash? Do you know about that? Because you've studied chakras for many years.
That was a long time ago. No, I don't really know too much about it.
Okay. All right. What we'll do?
It can. I think we can all do a little bit of homework, because I mean, I personally feel it's really important, the connection of the nervous system and the chakra, because it's like a receptor of all these subtle energies, and somehow maybe that those energy to get transformed into electrical something. That's why it can go through our nerves and we get all this sensation. Because most of the people who experience an awakening of the Kundalini or maybe like a rush of energy, they experience it electrically. And this is definitely something that has to do with the nervous system and with all the different parts of the brain that is, it might not be so important in a sense, for our experience to dissect all of this, but for me, sometimes, when they tell you, okay, just concentrate on your pineal gland, on your medulla oblongata, all this, so it definitely implies the importance of the nervous system.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, I guess for that particular question, we might require some homework because I don't have that level of information myself. But when it comes to going into the basics of the chakras and understanding how they manifest into our everyday life, maybe that's a good point to start from, and hopefully that might be able to give us a bit more of understanding of how it's interacting with different points of our body, what kind of energy is coming through, and how we can interact with this energy. Now, I'll speak from my experience here, but please, if anyone has a different experience, definitely, I would love to know what your experience has been. But when I started to understand the chakras, a friend of mine who has been meditating for many years, and this is probably the first spiritual lesson that I got, sat me in front of a keyboard and played 7 different notes. And he said to me that this is the sound or the note that each one of these chakras vibrates at. Now, each chakra was vibrating at a different note. And that's, when we know, or how we know the musical instruments are tuned to the A being 440 hertz. So each note had its particular frequency, and what he had asked me to do is to continue to play this note, and as I am playing this note, to chant the sound of Om in the same pitch as the note. And as I would do that, slowly, maybe after a few times, I started to feel a certain sensation in my body. The objective was to feel, because we relatively knew where these points were, but as we were doing that, to feel where these points would resonate within the body. Because as we're saying Om in that particular, and you can say it doesn't have to be Om, you can say anything. But as you're saying it in that pitch, what is also happening is that because you're putting your attention on that particular chakra, whichever chakra's note you might be singing, it starts to vibrate because it is all coming into harmony with that frequency. Because you see, that frequency is its natural state. And this is something that a lot of people would know of, is also used in sound therapy, where people use crystal balls, and each crystal ball is tuned to a particular frequency, and the frequency would be the frequency of what the chakra resonates at. And as people play this music, the chakras start to vibrate at that particular frequency as well. And because they're reaching their natural frequency, say for example, the base chakra, let's say if it was vibrating at 440 hertz, and because the energy is not stable there, or it has it's not in a good healthy state, maybe it's vibrating at say 454 hertz. And by allowing that frequency to resonate with it, or rather it to resonate with that frequency, it is coming back into its natural state of resonance of 440 hertz, say for example. So that's how sound therapy there is used as well. But other than that, once we start to identify where these chakras are within our body, and this comes both through meditation. One of the techniques that I used was initially when I started was to once I had finished the sound thing and had felt my chakras a few times, just to know where they were, how they felt, was to really just concentrate on them. It's kind of like slowing your thoughts down and just really feeling within your body and just finding that point. And as you find that point, you put your attention on it, it'll automatically start to vibrate. It's one of the things that chakras do. And as that frequency vibrates, you allow your mind to come into resonance with it. And this is something that, as we start to talk about chakra medicine and bringing body into resonance and harmony, is something that I was thinking of discussing in the chakra medicine workshop that we will be doing next. But that's how my journey of understanding what the chakras started. How was any of your journeys understanding and feeling your own chakras? How did they come about for you?
I kind of, if you guys don't mind me going first, I kind of just wanted to talk about the physiology of a bit, just coming back to Rahaya's question to understand like how to feel chakras and how to feel when they're weak and stuff. So you have the source of all life who's sending you this life force, which is basically like electromagnetic energy through the crown chakra, which then descends the spine, going through each chakra and then coming back up again, as it circulates. So this electromagnetic energy also goes into the nervous system. And as it's going into the nervous system, it pulses. So you can imagine like energy is like pulsing through the electromagnetic conductors of the body, which are your nervous system, which is like electrical, right?
Right.
So if there is a blockage or a weakness in any of the chakras, the pulse of the electromagnetic energy becomes weaker. So therefore it becomes harder to sense that chakra. Whereas if it's strong, and you can make it strong in a number of ways, as you guys know, like by focusing the breath, because when you're using that pranic breath, you're actually drawing more electromagnetic energy force into that area of which you're focusing. So as you take those pranic breaths, you're pulsing more and more light, like that electromagnetic energy into the, say, chakra. And as it becomes more and more full, if you could say, like more and more energy, you would feel that rise in conduction. So I think that's where the heat part comes from. I'm not too sure about electricity and heat, but for me, like that's how I start to sense them more. And it's just by using the rhythmic breath or pranic breathing, like very specific breathing, because every breath can be pranic. It doesn't have to just be shallow and unconscious. When you're putting conscious breathing in practice, that's when you are drawing in so much more electric energy from your source, which is above us, if you like, the source of all life. So the reason that anything is alive in your body is because that electrical impulse is there from God or source, or your I am presence, or whatever you want to call it. So when things become weak and sick, it's because that electrical impulse is taken away. Therefore, the electromagnetic or the electromagnetic dysfunction takes place, because that electromagnetic informs the biochemical. Do you understand, like how it becomes biochemical? Because So yeah, to answer your question, Prash, that's how I feel like sensing the chakras really comes into place, is by consciously breathing into those areas and increasing the energy there. That's all.
Right.
I have to say. That's all I have to say about that.
I like that, and that's a very good explanation. Thank you, Steph.
Okay.
Thank you, Steph. Yeah, it brings more clarity. Thank you.
Thanks.
When it comes to the healing of chakras particularly, at least from what I've understood, is that there are this is something, this can be really deep to get into, but everything. Oh god, this is going to be hard to explain, but or maybe easy. Okay, I'll try. All right. Let me jump onto maybe this one. Actually, no, not this. Okay, let's just imagine that there are lines around the body. Okay, don't look at the descriptions here, but each chakra, say for example, if your base chakra is here, it draws or creates an electromagnetic force around your body, which will be the first layer. The second layer will be from the Sacral Chakra, which will create a layer outside of the electromagnetic layer created by the root chakra, and so on and so forth. And each chakra layer will be of a particular color, hence the word rainbow body. Now, when energy is trapped, and okay, let's first understand what is, Steph, you described when the energy that is coming through is not flowing, right? Energy is something that needs to move. When energy is stuck somewhere, it creates a disruption in the flow of energy. And the disruption in the flow of energy is what creates imbalance or disease or blocks. And and what really tends to happen is that because the vibration of the chakra, say for example, if it's this chakra here, the sacral chakra, is not vibrating at the frequency that it's supposed to, it's God-given frequency, what tends to happen is that as it interacts with our emotional and mental body, something that we will touch upon later, it tends to bring back or tends to put it out into the universe and attract back from the universe the same as what it is vibrating at, right? As this energy comes in from our emotional body into our mental body, and then from our mental body into our auric body, which is the 7 layers of each of these chakras, as it comes back into this reality, into our chakra where the reality is manifested from, it is creating the same thing. So in essence, what I'm trying to say is that the lack of flow of energy inside of a chakra is going to change its constitution. And as the chakra, we often, rather than thinking of it as the body being the governing source, that, for example, if the energy is not flowing through the nervous system, therefore it is not going to the chakra, think of it the other way, that if the energy is not going into the chakra properly, it is therefore not going into the nervous system or the nerves associated to it properly. It has to flow, right? And the lack of flow can be caused by many, many different things, whether it be emotional or mental experiences or physical experiences. The lack of a causal situation, maybe a stronghold which has been created by a certain emotion. And these emotions are usually sadness, anger, fear, hurt, guilt, disgust, and sometimes even an emotion like happiness. So rather than thinking of energy coming in from the top of the head, going into the nervous system, and then going into the chakras, or rather the organs, think of the energy not flowing in the chakras properly, and therefore not going into the organs, therefore not going into the nervous system properly. As we bring in more light into the body, and as Steph was explaining through breath, as Ruhaya was explaining through breath, really consciously bringing in that breath, what we are allowing is the flow of that energy. That light which is coming in is not the light that which we are vibrating. It is a different light, and as this light is coming, it is bringing that which is not flowing into a state through which it may be able to flow, and therefore blocks and energies which are stuck there can start to flow. And it is the creation of flow which is creating movement. And this movement is what is generating the expanded life force, which is your true self. I hope that made sense from a different perspective.
Yeah, I'll just add a last little thing to that. So you're saying that the chakra, when it can't emit enough of its own frequency into the sort of its own body around the human body.
Yeah.
An interesting thing I've just read is about this electromagnetical and how the electromagnetical, the nervous system and cognition is all linked. So I'll just read a sentence and it might make sense. It says, from the underlying electromagnetic dysfunction, the electromagnetic informs the biochemical, and since these nerves correspond to various areas of the brain, by definition, they also affect cognitive function. So my reading of that is that it is our cognitive dysfunction that creates the dysfunction by sending bad energy. It's the cognitive dysfunction, like, too much self-hate or whatever it may be, that affects the amount of energy that's able to flow down the nerves. So each chakra withholds its own, as you guys know, like its own specific issues. So and functionality, like a healthy heart chakra will mean that your cognitive function, as in the nerves, all affect, that come from that part of the brain that controls feelings of like self-love, love to others, that emotional tie to love, etc. is like there's that three-way connection. There's the part of the brain, the nervous system, and the chakra. So the chakra is communicating through the nerves to the brain. That's my kind of take on cognitive function. So your dysfunctional cognitives are what's causing those blocks, the inability of as much energy to be able to flow. Does that kind of make sense? Like,
yeah, it does. But for me, I'm wondering also, what if it's also the other way around? Because, sometimes you have some inherited patterns, it could also be that, a blocked chakra can also definitely affect our cognitive functions.
Well, yeah, it's chicken or egg, really.
Yeah,
like,
that's what
what came first, the block or the thought
exactly.
Pattern? You know what I mean?
Because I think there are so many things that could really affect our chakra. There's different other things that maybe do not depend on us, like, directly.
Well, let's talk about some of these things. What could some of these other things be? Because it brings about a point which I think will automatically resolve itself in some time. But let's understand, what are the other things? I know one which is genetic, or genealogy, or passed from ancestry, that can create a block in a chakra. But what other things that do you guys reckon could be things that do that?
How about the environment? Electromagnetic field, that things that you might be exposed to. I'm just wondering. I'm not sure about it, but
Well, it seems to me that
events
we're not born awake. It's not like we come out of the womb with all our chakras fully open, but they are more open, and they get blocked and clogged with negative belief systems that are given to us, as you say, by our environment, our parents, our peers, society, blah, blah, blah. Each of these negative belief systems eventually shut the chakras down. So I know most kids are quite awake, but it's the other people that make them close those things, because they break those belief systems which keep them open, So I would say, the environment is huge. But as you say, Prash, we're already born with a few blocks that are carried from our karma, I would say, just from our previous lifetimes and this and that. Like, we're here. I think we're here as souls to literally learn what what blocks we have, and to set ourselves free and awaken and clear all that negative karma as we go along by studying our own chakras and what's inside of them. You know, what belief systems and what thoughts and behaviors are stuck in them that are dysfunctional, in order to cleanse and clear those chakras and, you know, make them more, as you say, godlike, as in carrying its original intention of frequency and those behaviors attached to that, to that intention, you know, like being very open, loving people, self-accepting, you know, accepting of others, grounded, feeling safe and secure, being connected to God, the universe, and all life through our third eyes, etc., etc. That's my take in there.
It's very interesting. I completely respect what you're saying, but my understanding of it is absolutely different. And this is also what is mentioned in the book Unveiled Mysteries, which is dictated, you know, Steph, by Saint Germain. And in the very first chapter, he talks about various examples of people who have come into life with different things, right? He says that at the point of the conception of the realization of the body as a soul, as in when a child is conceived, at the point of conception, the soul is at its fullest potential. And the only thing that the soul brings with itself is its learnings, right? The place where the soul is living, or at the soul plane, there is no right or wrong. There is no good or bad. The good or bad, right or wrong, comes into form when we are living in a dimension, right? So, for example, in your previous life, you might have been on Atlantis, and you might have experienced the fall of Atlantis, and you might have experienced this massive water thing that happened and people drowned, and you might have witnessed it, and that energy is stored as an experience, right? Now, this experience is also just how your thoughts or your experiences, let's say as a child, you might have faced or experienced something, and that experience still lives within your chakra, right? Until the point that it is released. Similarly, the soul carries past life experiences as well, and these experiences can be trapped within the soul. And the whole idea of the soul to manifest itself in a newer dimension or in a newer life form is to find itself, or allow itself to know itself as devoid of that experience and reach its highest state. So what you are releasing, say for example, if you're releasing, let's say if when I was growing up, let's say if I experienced some childhood trauma, and if I'm releasing that childhood trauma here, releasing that childhood trauma is aiding my soul to release another thing from its energy body. And at least what he explains here is that at the point of conception, there is nothing. The soul is absolutely perfect. The only thing that can come are those experiences from the soul, but they are already involved in the life purpose of the individual. And therefore, they can manifest themselves at any given point of time. But they will in no way manifest themselves as blocks in the energy bodies. They will manifest themselves as experiences or challenges that a first person faces. However, having said that, he does mention, or people ask him, that what about someone who is born with a disability, or someone who is, born with a disease? He talks about those things, and he talks about the life experiences that one has to live through in such cases to fulfill their soul purpose, because their soul is also trying to be a higher light. And therefore, the chakras as we are born don't really have any blockages, at least from what I understand, but I completely respect your opinion there. what tends to happen is that we go through experiences in life, and whether these be environmental, whether they be physical, metaphysical, however they might be, as we're growing up, we have experiences, and this is the third dimensional reality, that we have experiences, we have a body, we experience our reality. And sometimes these experiences might not be what might not be in our highest interest at that particular time. But what tends to happen is that because of where we are and who we are, we stop, or we don't really learn from the lesson, but rather become a victim of the experience. And as we become a victim of the experience, no matter how good or bad the experience might be, we tend to start to store that in our energy because we haven't really learned how to release it. And let's say, for example, children who go through, sexual abuse will store that in many of their chakras. So, for example, they might store it in their heart chakra. They will have, as they grow up, they will lack trusting and faith in other people. They will obviously store a lot of that in their root chakra. As they grow up, people will tell them, oh, it's your own fault, or you do this and you do this and you do that, and that is going to mess with their sacral chakra, their identity that they are learning of themselves. And so, all of this trapped energy can be stored into many, 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 many different chakras. And what can happen as a consequence is that more and more of these similar experiences are drawn to us, but they're drawn to us because they're sent to us so that we may become aware of what it is that we have to release. And as human beings, rather than seeing what it is that we have to release, we continue to go deeper and deeper into those experiences without really understanding the higher purpose. So, someone who, this person, say for example, it's me, and I've had sexual trauma and I've had all of these things, and I can't trust people. I fear getting close to people. I might have commitment issues, and then I'm attracting the same people in my life who want to be close, but I'm reliving the same experiences. I want them close, but I can't trust them. They leave and they break my heart and they go away. And similarly, I'm attracting the same experiences because the soul rather is wanting to overcome those. So the blocks are not particularly so much in a consequence. I mean, the blocks in the body are not a consequence of a physical ailment or a disease creating a block in the energy center, but knowing very, very confidently here that it is the other way around, that what is happening in your energy center is creating the reality around you. So if the reality around you is that you're experiencing headaches or low health, low immunity, or stress at work, lack in relationships, it is coming rather from the chakra and not the nervous system projecting itself on the chakra. It's a very important thing that I had to understand, because it takes you from the process of, hey, this is happening to me, and brings you into this is happening for me. So we go from the victim to the creator, and for me, it was definitely a very powerful, life-changing experience to start to look at life that way.
Wow, that's awesome. I totally resonate with that. I used to tell myself that all of that is by design, just trying to understand what is the purpose behind it, because I personally believe it's really all by design. So what you're sharing now resonates in me.
I'd still learn to. I'd still. I mean, Steph. This is, as I said, I completely respect your opinion, and there's a good possibility that I could be wrong, but it's just the truth that resonates within me, and I thought I might share it.
Hey, do I actually fully agree with what you're saying 100%. I think it's just getting caught up in the nuances of it. I think I was just trying to explain Raya's nervous system question in the same sentence, and it maybe got a bit muddled up. But yes, I totally agree with you there. Like our life experiences are sort of blocks, but yeah, at the same time, they are here to teach us lessons, to set us free, and also so that we understand both sides of the coin, what it is to be in lack, so that we can truly be free. Do you know, like they say, like sometimes you have what you call an incarnation where you're the victim of something, and then the next incarnation you're the bully, so that you can experience every potentiality. So nothing is really bad or good in this universe, you know, like it's just so that we can fully know who we truly are.
That is so true. That is
Do you know what I mean?
so true. I love that. I love
This
that.
is really cool.
I love that you brought about the, you know, in one we are the bully, and in the one we're the one getting bullied as well, because nature has to, energy has to balance itself, right? And it's, you know, as I was particularly reading this book, and again coming back to this book, Unveiled Mysteries, Saint Germain is taking Guy Ballard, the author of the book, through many of his life's incarnations, and that he's coming across his daughter or his son or his wife in different forms, you know, playing different roles. He's understanding, you know, the things that he's looked at, the people that he's interacted with in a previous lifetime, he's interacting with them again. So, you know, we here, we're having this interaction, but we obviously had this interaction somewhere else and at a certain time, and everything is becoming a balance of the energy. What was once bullied has to bully to balance the energy. And you know, as the soul is experiencing many different aspects, it is also learning through that, as you said, Steph, that it is the divine perfection of God's light.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's beautiful, and it helps you kind of chill out a bit about stuff. Yeah,
It's good to be chill.
Just accept yourself, whatever's going on.
Yes.
Except Donald Trump, you know.
Yeah.
Except coronavirus.
Yeah, and you'll see in this situation as well, people who, you know, at the moment, whatever the narrative is, if they really dug deep into the narrative, that's what they're attracting more of in their life as well. You know, people who are most concerned with coronavirus, and you know, they're the ones that are kind of losing their jobs and suffering because of it. And you know, what the energy that we're putting out into the universe is the energy that we're getting back.
Yeah, I think spring is in the air, guys, and it's time to just like put that shit behind us, really, and just focus on what you want to be and create, and pump the world full of the positive energy. Therefore, it will ripple out. You know, like I don't even like thinking about it anymore. I'm so over it congesting my thoughts. Like I just want to be great and feel the great things in life and imagine this world better. Do you know?
Yeah.
So I'm done thinking about it, and do you know what I mean? It's all good.
Well, one of the easiest things that we can do, even in this moment, is, you know, there's so much suffering and pain in the world, and yet look at us. You know, we have so much to be grateful for. If nothing else, you know, we have our families close to us. We're in each other's company. We're all encouraging each other to be a better version of ourselves, and that's more than what most people have. And I reckon, you know, even as I recognize it now, it's such a beautiful thing that at least I'm very grateful for. And you know, whatever we're, you know, as we feel this and, you know, we vibrate this, we attract more of this in our life. So, you know, let's step away from, hey, this is happening to us, and rather look at, hey, we are creating this, and let's choose consciously to create a better world, a more loving world.
We should totally stream this into a nice violet flame exercise, violet flaming ourselves in the world.
Yeah, We'll do that as we go into chakra healing and chakra medicine, particularly.
Nice.
We'll definitely do more.
Very nice.
I would like to talk about a few different things, however, and I think the parts about let's basically look at the other chakras as well, right? So, of course, when we look at this diagram here, we have the first to the seventh chakra, and these are the important chakras that we know. The root chakra, in very basic terms. If I was to simplify it as much as I can, the root chakra is about your connection to life. Very, very simply. Say, for example, the way that my mentor has explained it to me is that you come into life and, as you come into life, you were born and someone tells you, this is what your name is, this is who you are, this is the religion that you're going to follow, this and that and this and that and this and that. All of those beliefs are in the root chakra. So, usually when you're working with people and you see a loss of self-identity, that is usually in the root chakra, right? And you come up and the root chakra will often, at least in my experience, people will have people struggle with relationships with their mother as well. The second chakra, sacral chakra, is as you grow a little bit older, the world around you, you've become maybe 7 years old now, and you're starting to look at the world around you, and you're starting to form your opinion about the world. And this is what I like, and this is what I don't like. But then again, from the age of 0 to 7, you've been brought up with these belief systems. If you drop a book, you have to pick it up and you have to touch it to your forehead, otherwise you'll never be intelligent. Or if you if you drop salt, then you will have to, once you die, you will have to lift each grain of salt with your eyelids and things like that. At least these are the things that I learned. But what I'm saying is that as you're growing up slowly and you're starting to observe the world around you, and you're starting to form your identity, what you are looking at and forming your identity versus what has been taught to you lies in the second chakra. In the third chakra, as you get even older and you understand who you are more capable of saying, I am Prashant, and I like this and I don't like this, and I do this and I don't do this. All of that energy, your creative energy, now this is the energy that you use to go out and create in the world. Whether you want to be a painter, an artist, an astronaut, you are using this energy because this is who you are as an identity. And this is your third chakra. When you come to your fourth chakra, these are now your higher chakras. This is how you interact with the world around you. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings about people around you? Are you judgmental? Are you do you scorn people? Do you hold grudges against people? Do you hold a lot of anger? All of those sort of emotions sort of live in the fourth chakra, the heart chakra. The throat chakra is an interesting one because the throat chakra is very much related to the second chakra, the sacral chakra. But the throat chakra, basically, in the overview, is your voice in the world. How do you express your opinions? How do you express your creativity? How do you manifest? Manifestation is the fifth chakra. The sixth chakra is vision. It is your communion with that which lies beyond you. It's the gateway, the stellar gateway. And the seventh is your divinity to all that there is. It is the most important chakra. People say heart is the most important chakra, but you can have an open heart, but without an open crown, it can be very different. The heart is giving, the crown is receiving. And the giving and receiving have to flow. with too much giving and very little receiving, we become poor receivers. And you know, if we can't receive as much as we give, we feel empty. And with too much reception or too much receiving and not enough giving, again, we can tend to feel closed because we're getting so much, but our relationship with the world around us is so bad that we are unable to give. So finding that balance between the crown and the heart chakra are the most important, because together they, in my experience, is what energizes the sixth chakra. So that's the nutshell of the seven chakra system, right? But beyond the seven chakra, here.
Excuse me, Prash, may I say something about?
Yes, please go ahead.
Well, to me, really, in my own experience, like my really first experience with the divine happened through my heart. Really, it's like the expansion, you know, the energy that really takes over your whole being, you know, all of this happened through the heart.
Wow.
And my heart really, I mean, I really felt like the connection with everything. It was just this energy that came through. Actually, it's not something that I received from outside. It came from my heart, and it was so expansive. Like, really, that's how I felt it. And my crown chakra, really, I mean, I first experienced it from the heart, and then the crown came later. And the crown was, to me, mostly when I find balance, like between the cosmic energy and earth. You know, I have my connection with the cosmic energy, and then, you know, the connection with Mother Earth. So that's when the crown came into play. Like, it opens me up to something much higher, and that I would, like, when I download information, it happens, like, you know, I sense the energy pouring through me. And
Right.
also, I can also hear, it's hard to explain really in words, but I can see the connection between the two. Definitely the heart and the crown, they're definitely connected. But for me, when I experience it, even when I do my meditation, everything happens through the heart. Like, even the gateway to, like, if I want to connect, if I want to expand, it happens through the heart. It's something really, for me, it's, in my case anyway, that's the gateway to connect with everything around me. And
That makes sense.
it's really, to me, it's like the love, you know, that experience of love, and not even the love that a human can comprehend. Even I cannot translate it in human words. But, you know, that energy, it really happens through the heart.
Absolutely.
Really. But then the crown is very important. Like, I cannot explain exactly how connected they are. Like, technically, I don't know how to put it in words. But then again, I see the connection. So somehow, like, when I do my meditation, sometimes, I hear, and when I try to think about it, I just hear, like, okay, as within, so without. So I shouldn't try to think about it. It's the same thing. It can happen, like, you know, from my crown, I can have that connection also. But for
Yes.
me, it's more natural through my heart. It's like what is really automatic, natural to me, it's from my heart center.
That makes
That's really
sense.
the gateway to my soul. When I feel my soul, you know, everything that is more expensive, that is beyond me, I experience it from my heart center, at least that area.
Wow.
Even when I disappear somehow and I have this experience where, like, I cease to exist in a way, you know, it happens through the heart. It doesn't happen from my crown. But then again, as I tell you, I also know, I feel the connection, because I would have my crown chakra like throbbing. I would feel things happening there, and I also feel that energy flowing through me, connecting me to the earth, you know. So there is definitely a connection. So what I was trying to say, that we might maybe experience it differently. There might be like two doorways, you know, so that have maybe the same purpose, or maybe they complement each other. I don't know. So that was my take on it.
I know. Thank you for sharing that, Ryan. It's absolutely perfect the way that you explained it, and each chakra has its own significance, and each chakra will make itself known to us more prominently at certain points in our life as well. They all have different activation periods. But more importantly, as you said, you know, the spark of the divine lives within our chest. It is the gateway. It is the portal to everything. And therefore, as we can be heart beings, we can be much more giving. But the idea is also to receive, to, you know, it's like when you give a gift, and you give a gift to someone, and or you give a compliment to someone. But when someone gives a compliment to you, you're like, you might struggle taking that compliment. And similarly, you know, when we can't receive the smaller things in life, how can we receive the divine energy from source? So to allow more of that divine energy to come through source, we must focus on the crown as well and bring in that balance. But as you said so perfectly, the divine spark lies within the heart. It is the gateway. It is the gateway, absolutely. Now, beyond the 7 chakras, we have at least there are 2 systems, at least that I know of. And if anyone knows of others, please do inform me. There is, beyond this, beyond the 7th chakra or the crown chakra, there is a chakra here. I do not know their names. They're not mentioned in any books that I know of. The 8th chakra, this is a black chakra. And then there is a 9th chakra here, which is a golden chakra. And both of these chakras, at least in my experience, work as torus fields. Then there is chakras at the soles of your feet, which would make the 10th chakra. Don't go by this system because this is a slightly different system, numbering system. And then there is a pink chakra, which is around your body, which is known as the 11th chakra. And then there is a white chakra, a transparent layer of energy, which is around the pink. And that's the 12th chakra. So the 7 chakras, then you have a black chakra on the 8th, golden on the 9th, 10th, a brown chakra at the soles of your feet, 11th, which is the pink around your body, and around the pink, a transparent layer called the 12th chakra. And at least these are the ones that I have been able to feel. Now there could be others, but I don't know of them. There is another 13th chakra system, and this 13th chakra system is the 7 chakras, and then the smaller chakras that are in the other description, 9th, they sort of in the other picture here, which we had in the head chakra. I don't know if you all remember it. This one, they form the other 4 chakras, 9 to 12, and then there is a 13th on top of it. And then some other chakras there as well that I do not know of, but this is the picture that I found, so I put it up there. But these are some of the chakras that some of us might here be familiar with. You have the 7 chakras, and above the 7 chakra you have the soul star. At the base of your feet you have the earth star, or underneath the base of your feet you have the earth star. Hara is the point you would have all known in the light body activation as well. In Darben's activation, he refers to it as Saha. And then beyond that, you have the stellar gateway. And above the stellar gateway, you have Christ consciousness. And above Christ consciousness, there is source. And the earth star, underneath the earth star, there are some other chakras as well. Steph, maybe you might remember some of these from Isha's course.
Oh yes, no, I didn't actually take them seriously. I've forgotten, but there's ones that link you to different parts of the universe, like, and different sort of, I don't know what you would call it. It's not like a species, or it might be something to do with planets. But the only one I really remember is the dolphins one. I just remember that one.
It's the ones that connect to the inner cities and inner cities.
I have one question.
Yeah. Yeah. Higher dimension.
I have just one question, please, because
Yes.
then it might get a bit confusing. Okay, right now I'm seeing, of course, I heard about the soul star chakra, so it's totally different from the 8, 9, and 10 chakra. This is something completely different,
Yes.
if I understand it well. So then again, I wanted to get also more clarity about like the alpha and omega chakra. I mean, is this the same that we see in here, but called differently, or they're also completely different chakra systems?
They completely.
No,
My understanding of alpha and omega are completely different. Alpha and omega. Let's see if there is a picture here. Alpha and omega chakras, the way that I have experienced it, are formed from the Ida and Pingala. It is the male and the female energy. I can't really remember. Did they talk about the male and female energies when we did the activation in the 48 days with Cryon? In those particular ones?
They did mention them, but I've forgotten. I don't know what.
Yeah. I think what I remember is just that the alpha chakra connect us to divine energy, and then the omega one connect us directly to the earth. You know,
that's what I thought, but I think it actually, I'm just reading a little article, and it looks like alpha is the top 3 and omega is the bottom 4. Bottom 3. Sorry, it's not being really clear, but it might not just be lower bodies. Omega through our 4 lower bodies. It's 12. I'd have to read and figure it out, but
I'll quickly look in my book as well.
Active mass. Okay, the sphere of alpha and omega is the perfect balance of the outward flow and active masculine principle of life, as well as the returning flow and passive feminine principle of life, returning the energy to the self. The 7 outer chakras are fractal. The sphere of the alpha and omega is the expansive out-breath of alpha and the return or in-breath of omega. So it's not really a chakra, I don't think. From what
in the steps they tell us it's a chakra. I think that again, there are so many different schools. Sometimes, the more you read, the more confusing it gets. So sometimes I really go with my intuition. That's really what I did with the alpha and omega. I just went with my intuition anyway. I'm like, okay, whatever feels right for me at the moment, that's what it's going to be. Because then somehow people call them even differently. What would be described as omega, you would see that maybe in the 48 steps, what they describe as omega is maybe different from what someone else might be talking about altogether.
Yeah, I agree.
So from my understanding from this is that the consciousness of the sphere of the alpha and omega contains that which it is the 4 of God, the quadrants of being, or 4 lower bodies of the unmanifest God. So the alpha is the inbreathing of God life force, and the omega is like the breathing out into the unmanifested God, which is like our lower bodies,
Yeah.
So it's our higher bodies versus our lower bodies. Do you know what I mean? It's not a chakra, it's it's the Holy Spirit versus the physical body. It's like our do you know what I mean?
It's it's often with alpha and omega, there can be a lot of confusion there because of the one phrase that people say that I am comes from alpha and omega, and people believe that I am comes from source itself, and therefore source divided itself into a male and a female part, and therefore the whole male and female part is associated to alpha and omega. It might not be that. That's what I'm picking up, but I could be wrong. But I don't really know what alpha and omega is. I thought it might be the balance of masculine and feminine energy, but I could be wrong. I don't
It
know.
is. It is like it's Father, Mother, God. You know, it's the masculine and feminine aspect, but it's much more than that. You know.
Well, I think that was the one with Jesus, because I think only Jesus had the ability to, or the permission to balance the Alpha and Omega. We might have to try and connect with him and understand more in detail. But because I had before that meditation not heard of that before either.
Yeah, I think we should go deep within. I'm pretty much sure that we'll find really the answer that deeply resonates and makes sense to
Yeah.
us. I mean, that's how really I go about everything now. I mean, I hear it, it can be conceptual, but unless really it resonates in me, like I feel it at a cellular level, like my truth, I don't take it. I don't deny it, but I'm like, okay, this is what it said, but let's see how, you know, how I can integrate it or not.
Absolutely. That's
That can be homework. That can definitely be homework.
yeah, that and
so we have 2 homework. So who remember the homeworks at the end of the day? Maybe Steph, you're gonna tell, okay, we have this.
Who's
homework
gonna mark it?
Now we have to.
Nah, it's more just for sharing. It's more for sharing. Like at the start of next week, we can have a wee share of what we found and try to figure it out between us, you know?
Really nice idea.
Cool.
And there's, you know, I wanted to talk about, just very quickly, just touch upon the 7 rays. You know, we know the 7 rays of God, you know, the 7 rays that create the rainbow bridge, or the Antakarana, the 7 divine qualities of God, harmony, magic, devotion, love, intelligence, knowledge, and will. They are usually in different orders. Usually 5th ray is will and 1st ray is knowledge, but there can be different orders for them. However, it is important to know which of the 7 rays that run through and support the chakras, which of them indicate what meaning. And I think this is a chart which explains it really well. So the 7th chakra is that, like I said, to me it is knowledge or illumination. The 6th chakra is will to me. The 5th is intelligence. The 4th is love, the heart center. The 3rd is devotion. Oh, sorry. The 3rd is intelligence. Sorry, I'm reading them all the way upside down. The 2nd chakra is magic. And like I said, the 2nd chakra is quite related to the 5th chakra, or the throat, as well, because throat is how we manifest, but our manifestation power has to come from the throat and the sacral chakra, and therefore the sacral is also magic. And the 1st having harmony with all 3 aspects of ourselves and all lower and higher bodies that we have. And perhaps maybe we should give you a little brief about this as well. The Nadis, or the Meridians. There is a Nadi called the that's a tongue twister, Sushumna Nadi, or Meridian, which is at a certain point in the head. It is the point that is believed. It is believed that the consciousness leaves the body from. In the Indian religion, I'm not sure if you're aware, but we cremate the bodies, and as the body is lying on the funeral pyre, one has to usually crack the skull at this point to allow the full consciousness of the being to be released. It's just a tradition which is followed there, but I thought you might want to know about that. There are hand chakra points that we can massage, and they're related to each one of these. The best way to do that is to focus on your higher self and allow it to assist you and guide you. as you're doing that, and focus on what areas or what qualities of that particular chakra you would want to bring into balance or mutate or transmute, and it worked really well. But before we go further, let's just maybe understand the causal bodies. They are quite important to understand. So this one, actually, the Auric Field, talks about the 7 rainbow colored energy, electromagnetic energy, which is around the body, each relating to, or each layer of this electromagnetic energy relating to each one particular chakra. So number 1, which is the first layer, is related to the root chakra. Number 2 is the sacral. Number 3 is the solar plexus. 4th is the heart, so on and so forth. That's your auric field, and it's usually seen in rainbow color. And one of the easier ways to bring about change into your chakra is also through the auric field. You can step outside of your body, or you can, from within your body as well, visualize your auric field and bring in a certain quality of light or certain color of light. For example, if I was working with my heart chakra, I would bring about green and allow that to also come into the auric body, because through the auric body it will come into the heart center as well. So that's another thing to bring about balance, but to understand the auric body. Now around the auric body, we have a few other different bodies, and this is where it gets really, really, really tricky. And I'll try and keep it very simple here. So around the auric body, which is also known as your lower etheric aspect, or your etheric body, around that is your emotional body. And around the emotional body is your mental body. Around the mental body is your astral body. And then you have the etheric template, celestial body, and etheric body. And these 3 bodies particularly, actually including the astral body, relate to your divine self. They're not, in other words, they are more the bodies that are in relation to your soul, spirit, higher self, I am presence, and God, than in relation to the physical body. But they're good to know about. How much do I know about them? Not too much. But yeah. Is there any question, anything here that anyone would like to go through again? Or
Yeah, there's one thing I would like to know. Like, when people who can perceive the colors of the auric field, sometimes they will say that person is radiating maybe a certain specific color. What does that mean? I mean,
have you
field is composed of all the 7 colors.
Have you heard of one of those stones I think you can get, and this stone, if you touch it to your skin, will change color based on the color of your aura?
No.
Okay, so
Haven't
you
heard
can
of
get
that stone.
you can get these kind of stones, or you can get these devices, or what I've seen a lamp.
My question, yeah.
Yeah, so but I'm getting to it, right? You can have buy a lamp, and this lamp will read the energy of the room or individuals, or an individual within the room, and bring about a color, right? But how does it land on one color when it should be picking up all the 7 colors of our rainbow body, right? How does the aura land on one color? How is it that when we see someone's aura, we see one color at some time and another color at another time? It is the It has a lot to do with the vibration of the chakra, the energy of the chakra, what is the most running chakra, but more importantly, it is about the state of mind, right? If you take someone's auric picture whilst they are in a state of distress, you'll see a different color. The same person, when you take their auric picture when they're calm, meditating, and not in their thought and emotion, you'll see a different color. The color is the essence or the note that they are vibrating at. The most important note, and I think because it is usually the color of the rainbow, if you see a different color, which is a color of, say, green and yellow sort of mixed, then you can see that it is emanating two qualities. But often you have to understand, right, when we are often taking these pictures, or when people are often seeing people's astral bodies, they're also seeing other aspects intermingled with it. There are guides, there are invisible helpers. Sometimes angels come in and want themselves to be known, and you know, it's an art that I do not have much explanation of, because I'm not a very good seer, but perhaps someone else would be. But this would be my explanation of it. If someone else has an explanation, then please go ahead and please share that with us.
Yeah, so what I understand, and this is important, it means that the colors of the aura will change, like at least like the 7 different colors of, you know, of the chakras will change, like depending on the person, mental and emotional states, or maybe health also. And then there is also different kind of light, like, because for instance, sometimes, I mean, I could perceive, it's something that is like opening up in me. I could perceive, like, but what I would perceive would be something maybe golden color, or different colors also. But what you mentioned, like, because the golden color is none of the, at least there is none of the 7 in-body chakras that have that color. It's mostly maybe the higher chakras.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned that the golden would be the 9, but again, what I will perceive might not necessarily be the 9 chakra vibration. Maybe it's just something else, maybe a guide or something else, as you just mentioned. So what I wanted to understand is just that, so, I mean, the colors of the chakra can change. Maybe in one day you will see the person vibrating different colors depending on the state of emotion, mental state.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the point I wanted to make clear. Like, you know, it's not like when you see someone, they're vibrating always the same color. Like, it can change depending on their emotions or mental state.
Wow. Absolutely. And you know, often, you know, when let's say if I'm doing a session with someone and I take them outside of their body and I ask them to see the color of their soul, you know, the soul is, when we start to perceive the soul, it is outside of us, or it feels outside of us. And it's only with time that we start to feel the soul within ourselves. And often when I ask people, when I take them out, what is the color that they're seeing of their soul, they'll see it in a color pink. And they're seeing pink because they're seeing that outermost layer of the chakra body, which is in essence a higher or a lower aspect of the soul. But you know, people will see that. Some people who don't go that far out the first time out of the body will see a golden light, or they'll see a golden torus field. And that golden torus field is again the torus field which is created from the 12th chakra. I think the next workshop, when we sit down, I'll demonstrate some of the ways that I know of touching and experiencing these chakras, so that we can all collectively feel them and clear them. So in answer to your question, right, absolutely. And the color pink is so well known here because a lot of people do see their souls in that state of pink, because when we particularly go out of our body and we see our soul is also observing us, you know, and we forget that. And our soul is so thrilled and so full of love that we are trying to get to know it better, that it's emanating joy, so much love and joy that we see it as the color pink.
I did.
Yes, I
I did
remember
mine
you
in
did
pink,
too.
definitely. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did pink. Yes.
Yeah, it's a, and you know, the greatest thing that we can start to do is to build a better relationship with our soul, and it brings about a lot of growth. But you know, this
And
is
then it
this
became pink and golden. Yeah.
you know this is the most important and valuable thing to understand is that we this is the information that is available to us at this moment, right? And as this increasing light is coming before us and this expansion is coming before us, there will be people like yourselves who will find more and more details about what is really happening, and you know, science will evolve and technology will evolve, and we'll learn more about the chakras. We'll have more information in 10 years time than ever before. And you know, as each of us are awakening and learning this new information, which is actually information of within ourselves, it is important that we share that information with one another, because these pictures are from people who have chosen to share that information. And as we learn this information more and more, we should share it as well, because together we learn and grow.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, Prashi. Is that your conclusion?
That is yes, in summation. Yes.
Thanks, Steve. Prashi. We're gonna have to head off now because we're gonna get the kiddies to bed and stuff. But
Absolutely.
thanks for this is so much fun, guys. Really enjoyed it, and thanks for putting all this effort into these slides, Prash, and stimulating some good food for thought and homework and all that jazz. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prash.
And thank you so much
Yes.
for the material. I think we're gonna dive into it. There's so much information in it, you know. The PDF
Yeah.
that you shared. It's really,
Thank you.
it's very,
Thank you. We'll
Thank you so much.
continue this discussion and learn more as we do our homework.
yes. Thank you.
All right, all.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Have a beautiful night.
Guys.
Have a
Thank
great
you. Have a
day.
beautiful
Great
night.
evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
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 Thanks, Prash. See you, mate.
See ya, Ben.